Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. The trade deadline is approaching. October 31st is the NFL trade deadline, so it's got me thinking once again. We were talking about some options earlier in the offseason, but now that the season's playing out and the trade deadline is around the corner, who's going to be the Ravens trade? I'm pretty sure they're going to make a trade. Whether it be big or small, I'm not sure on that. I don't know who it's going to be, but I know one player that makes a lot of sense and we wouldn't have to give up the house for him, and that is Danielle Hunter from the Minnesota Vikings. The trade deadline the last few seasons has been where a lot of big stars and big names in the league move teams. You don't see it quite as much in free agency anymore. You do see it, but a lot of the big trades happen at the trade deadline. And I don't think this year is going to be any different. I don't know how involved the Ravens are going to be. This is obviously hypothetical talk about what we'd like to see or what may happen. But I think Danielle Hunter makes a lot of sense because you don't have to give up a ton for him. You know, I saw some people on Twitter saying a first and Bateman and stuff. That's crazy. Danielle Hunter is in a contract year. He's a free agent next year. So usually when someone has an expiring contract, they don't have a ton of value, a.k.a. Roquan Smith, for a second-round pick because he was going to be a free agent and command a huge deal. Now, obviously, that worked out in a huge way for us. And I don't think, the Danielle Hunter trade would be quite as big or impactful as a Roquan Smith trade, but I think it's similar. I think that we could give up a fourth or a third max. I don't think he commands a second. Obviously, they'd want a second, but you're going to have to give him a contract next year. So the Ravens may be looking at this as a rental situation because I don't know if they want to invest a ton of money, or if he pans out, then they do find a way to sign Danielle Hunter long term. But those cap numbers are going to be big. That would come with some roster juggling because those cap numbers are going to be big, and we're probably going to have some dead money with Odell. I'm not sure if they're getting an extension done with that. That situation's a little messy, I think, right now. So I think Danielle Hunter's value is around a third-round pick, and he's a baller. He would come in and help this team tremendously. He would help our pass rush tremendously. And the only reason I'm attacking pass rush with my trade is because Oweh's still banged up. We don't exactly know what's going on with that. We expect him to come back soon, but we'll see. Ojabo, according to Harbaugh, they're debating whether he's going to get surgery to have it season-ending. So regardless, I don't really have a lot of faith in David Ojabo this year, period. Whether he comes back, he's probably going to be hobbled. It's going to take time to get going. He's already out for the next month anyway, basically. So we need a little help. Now, Clowney and Van Noy, we signed. Obviously, they're playing pretty well, especially Jadeveon Clowney. I think Jadeveon Clowney's huge. But our pass rush is still not getting home at a consistent rate. You add Danielle Hunter on the other side, now that's something special. There's no way we don't get to the quarterback, and our defense is already playing at a really high level, and I think adding a rush makes them like top of the league defense, especially with Humphrey getting back. Obviously, that's going to take some time for him to get fully back, as we saw in that Steelers game. That wasn't prime Marlon Humphrey. We can admit that. Or prime Marcus Williams. Marcus Williams was hobbled out there. That arm was bothering him, and that's concerning moving forward. I don't know if we're getting a full Marcus Williams either. But regardless, defense has been playing lights out. And Danielle Hunter, I think, puts this defense over the top. And then you could have Oweh come back and be in a healthy rotation. But I haven't seen enough from Oweh yet to be on the level of Danielle Hunter. He's just not that consistent. I'm not saying Oweh can't ever put a dominant season together and become a really dominant player in this league. I'm not saying that's not possible, but it hasn't happened yet. So Let's go get a proven guy that's going to guarantee to get home. This pass rush is going to work if we add Danielle Hunter. And this defense then gets put over the top. And some may argue, why trade on defense when the defense isn't the problem? And I agree that the defense isn't the problem. The offense has been the reason we're losing these games. We lost 2 close games to the Colts and the Steelers, and I'm putting it on the offense. I'm definitely putting it on the offense for a couple different reasons in both games. The line has a lot to do with it. The receivers in the Steelers game have a lot to do with it. There's a lot of reasons why the offense is struggling and is very inconsistent, but I don't really know where we would trade on offense to change everything. I think there's a lot of problems, and a lot of it has to do with health, has to do with practice availability, has to do with comfortability in Todd Monken's offense. There's a lot of things that the offense needs to work through that one trade isn't going to change everything. Are we struggling at receiver again right now? Yeah, but that's because Odell and Bateman clearly aren't healthy. They clearly aren't in peak form. I mean, watch the tape. Neither of those guys are in peak form. I think Bateman may be struggling with some confidence, and I'm not writing him off. I'm not writing anyone off yet. I think this offense still has everything in front of them. I genuinely believe that. And Lamar's playing out of his mind. Lamar's having one of his best seasons ever. And he needs help. The offensive line's not helping him out either. So we could possibly trade for a lineman, but what position? You're not going to replace Ronnie Stanley. I think he's the one that struggled the most last game. Outside of maybe Falele when he came in late, but Falele shouldn't be in there. I mean, that's a third string option. So Morgan Moses should be back. I don't think he's out long-term by any means. Zeitler's been playing well. Linderbaum's been playing pretty well. A few mistakes here and there, but he's still getting his feet back. He's still a young player, too. Simpson's okay. So I'd say if we go anywhere with a trade on the line, we go left guard, but does that change the entire offense? Trading for a left guard, are we all of a sudden a consistent offense? No, that's not the reason for all this. Ronnie Stanley let up the most pressures last game, but we know what Ronnie offers. I think that Ronnie will rebound. It's just these guys haven't been on the field. Linderbaum and Stanley have been hurt for weeks. And you could say whatever you want about them having a ton of NFL experience and have been proven and they're a vet and blah, blah, blah. You need to fine-tune your skills in practice. You need to be available week after week, day after day. That's when you get consistent. That's when you stop having a lot of errors. Ronnie Stanley looked really rusty. I don't expect him to have as bad a performance this week, but I'm just saying I think the offense is a lot of rust, out of sync, because it's a new offense, and this group as a whole that we just saw against Pittsburgh hasn't been playing together. They haven't even been practicing together. So they all need to stay on the field. And if the question is durability, then we're kind of in trouble anyway, because we can't unload these guys. We have a ton of money invested on the offensive side of the ball now. So I don't really know what trade would make sense. Maybe a running back. I could hear an argument for Josh Jacobs potentially, but then that's going to command a big contract next year just to make it worth it, because I think you're going to have to give up a decent amount for Josh Jacobs. And I still don't think that overnight changes the offense. I don't really think Gus Edwards and Justice Hill and whoever we put in there is the issue of the offense. It's a lot of inconsistency and execution errors, and that's just got to get worked out through practice and through game experience playing together. So maybe there is an option out there on offense that could help turn this offense around, but I just think they need time. I think they need to gel, and I don't expect to have a ton of drops ever again like that, and that's a fluke game. We had 0 wide receiver drops all season, and then we basically set a record in Pittsburgh, and that's definitely the reason for the loss, or at least a huge reason of it. So I got off topic a little bit there, but I'm just I can't really see an offensive trade, one trade where you make, at the deadline and it just turns our offense around. I think the offense has a lot deeper problems that are just going to need time. But on defense, I think we can add firepower to the pass rush. I could hear a corner trade, but with getting Humphrey back and how well Brandon Stevens has been playing, Ronald Darby's been solid. We still have Rocky Ya-Sin, who he just stopped talking about and haven't seen as much. He's not playing a ton, which obviously may be a testament to where the coaches view him right now, and that sucks because I thought that signing was going to really pan out. But I still think Rocky Ya-Sin's solid depth. My point is, I don't know if corner is like a screaming place to trade unless the right player becomes available. You know, if you can get a young stud corner that you can sign long term and kind of be the future beside Humphrey and eventually replace Humphrey as like the guy, like a Patrick Surtain or something, then hell yeah, go for that. I just don't think he's going to be available, and obviously that would cost a first-round pick. So the reason I'm picking Danielle Hunter as the smartest move for us is because we could probably just give up a third, and the Vikings are in a bad position. They have a bad record. They just put Justin Jefferson on IR. You know, I'm hearing rumors about them making Kirk Cousins available, and it just sounds like they're going to be sellers at the trade deadline. And I don't see a scenario where the Ravens are sellers at the trade deadline. I think we're buyers. I think we need to add fuel to this team. And if we're going to make a big trade, I think Danielle Hunter seems to be the most obvious option. But let me know who you want. Let me know what you would give up, what players you would go get. You know, are you shooting for the stars? Are you trying to make an offensive trade? Do you think there is one trade that can change our offense right now? Are you going defense as well? Let me know in the comments who you'd like to see. I appreciate you guys tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.